Hey guys, TikTok Sully here, or just Sully, back with another video, and welcome to another episode of What Happened in Fashion and Sneakers. Today we'll be looking at what happened in November, so let's get into it and hope you guys enjoy. Kicking off this episode, we can get straight into it and start with Palace Ralph Lauren. In November, Palace Skateboards collaborated with traditional brand Ralph Lauren after this collaboration had been previewed in October. A variety of pieces released, including a fleece, rugby shirt, a mismatched flannel, a cute polo teddy bear, and also a memorable polo bear sweater which saw the iconic polo bear performing a heel flip and really encapsulated this collaboration into one singular piece. To have an overview of the whole collection, I'll be sure to leave a link down below in the description, and this was actually a first for the Ralph Lauren brand, so maybe we'll be seeing the brand come more out of its shell as time goes on. But moving on to highlight number 2, ComplexCon kicked off in November for its 3rd year running, and this year it was held in Long Beach, California. For its 2018 edition, the convention had multiple artists performing over the 2-day weekend such as Nav and Future, whilst at the same time hosting conversations from the likes of Virgil Abloh and Complex's own Joel Puma. Outside of that, there was a variety of brand installations from the likes of Champion, Union LA and Places Plus Faces, whilst the whole event was hosted by Pharrell Williams and curated by Takashi Murakami. This was the first year that both Hype Fest and ComplexCon went on, and now that it's all over, I think for 2018 I have to give it to Hypebeast, as they seem to have really put on the better convention this year. ComplexCon was still great, but their previous 2 years were 10 out of 10, and it seemed like they had to lay off the gas a little bit for this one, so for that reason I have to give it to Hypebeast. But I'm sure next year both brands will host another great event, so salute to the both of them. Moving on from that, we had Dover Street Market open up a new store in the city of LA. This was their 6th brick and mortar store to open up, and after finding homes in cities like London, New York and Beijing, Los Angeles seemed to be the obvious next city for the store to call home. It opened up on November 3rd and hosted a variety of exclusive drops for its opening, and you can go check out the store now as well as its installations if you do live on that side of the country. Burberry also had their 2nd B-Series release as Riccardo Tisci continues to move forward with his monthly capsule drops, and for the month of November the brand released 4 pieces, being a Burberry scarf as well as 3 Kingdom themed pieces to make up for a full tracksuit. These were available for 24 hours, and I just wanted to make a small mention of this to let you guys know that this will be a recurring monthly drop by Burberry on the 17th of every month, so at least you're aware. Moving on to something more controversial now, which is also the highlight of the month, Dolce and Gabbana made headlines as they attempted to promote their Shanghai runway show over on that side of the world. The D&G brand had launched 3 adverts which showcased a Chinese woman attempting to eat a variety of foods with the traditional chopsticks, and the foods were all from different cultures, whilst the eating technique was more familiar with the Asian culture. And there was also a voiceover that couldn't help but sound patronizing as it attempted to guide the lady in eating.
今天我们要吃的是传统的西西里香炸甜卷儿，终于有一个尺寸不那么让人手足无措的食物了，这是不是太夸张了？
The problem with this ad was that it depicted the woman as being uneducated and also unable to eat with anything besides chopsticks, almost as if the Chinese were unable to eat foods such as pizza and spaghetti. And it also played on stereotypes which came off as racist and disrespectful. Less than 24 hours later, the ad had blown up for its controversy, which also followed with one half of D&G's founder, Stefano Gabanna, insulting the Chinese in a private Instagram DM. This followed with a claim that his account had been hacked and it wasn't him that sent the message, which then led to an apology from both founders as they attempted to backtrack on the advert and explain they didn't mean any harm in it. Of course, this wasn't enough for people to forget about what had happened, with many people claiming that their apology was insincere. And since all of this has happened, the D&G brand has taken a massive hit with its Asian market, and the initial fashion show that was meant to take place in Shanghai was also cancelled. So of course, this advert did nothing but bring damage to the Italian brand, and to be honest, after watching it, I was even surprised that it got passed for being a suitable ad, because even if you take the voiceover away, the video was enough to be offensive. But moving on, the next highlight of the month was the pre-fall 19 collections, as they kicked off in November and gave consumers some more range from some of their favourite designers. Some brands such as Dior and Valentino showed their collections on the runway, whilst other brands opted for a more traditional way to show their pre-fall collections. Brands such as Off-White and Calvin Klein 205 had provided a lookbook into their pieces, and a handful of brands had produced pieces for both men and women. If you want to have a look at the pre-fall collections, I'll leave a link down below where you can access images, and this is still ongoing as brands continue to present their collections. Speaking of Dior though, their pre-fall collection was futuristic themed and featured a collaboration with Japanese artist Soriyama. But the reason I bring up Dior again is because they also released their Kaws collaboration in November, which came from their previous season of Spring Summer 19. This released near the end of the month and featured a variety of pieces such as t-shirts, jackets and accessories, and the drop also saw Dior release their high top oblique sneaker, which was a highlight of the Spring Summer collection. There was also saddlebags that dropped to give this collection some added excitement. Supreme and the North Face also collaborated as they dropped some more jackets to go with this cold winter, and this time around the jackets were made up of a Cordura Gore-Tex, which were also branded on the jackets. There was 2 loud colours that released and 1 blacked out version, and these were complemented with other pieces such as fleeces and bags, and there was also a pair of dungarees which released, all using the same colours to make for a cohesive collaboration. A collaboration between a Cold Wall and Nike also dropped in November to make for yet another collaboration for the brand's designer Samuel Ross. This collection featured the brand's usual technical wear mixed in with Nike's technology to produce a palette of lighter greys and whites on a handful of pieces. There was a granite jacket that had dropped, a concrete jersey, an Onyx cap, and my favourite from the collaboration being the clay compression pants. I don't really wear track pants all that often, so when I see a pair that's well constructed, I can't help but be attracted to them. I also thought the branding was well done on these, and even the extended drawstrings to make for an overall solid piece in my opinion. This was the 3rd or 4th month in a row that I've made mention of Samuel Ross in this series, so you can see he's really seeming to work up a name for himself as well as his Cold War brand. Technical wear is definitely one of my favourite aspects of fashion, so it's nice to see a brand approach it in such a contemporary way. But to finish up this November month before we get into the sneaker segment, we had one final drop which came from Ian Connor and his recent venture with Sicko BFP, as they dropped their logo pieces which have been seen across social media for many months now. The drop included a logo t-shirt, hoodie and a pair of sweatpants, which were all awaited on by the creatives fan base, and with such a demand for the pieces, saw them sell out over on the website. Of course, this was only the first drop for the Sicko brand, but I'm sure there's more to come as Ian seems to be heavily invested in making Sicko work, and with a successful first drop, it's definitely off to a good start. Getting into sneakers now, there was plenty of drops to cover, so let's get into them. Kicking it off, we start with the CDG Supreme Air Force 1s, which were teased a few months back with the actual collaboration, but ended up releasing in November as a standalone. The sneakers stuck to the theme of the collaboration and saw the Nike swoosh split and misplaced. Nike EU also had an event take place at the beginning of the month, and this was the week of the ones over on their sneakers app. This saw the European app release 5 somewhat hyped Jordan 1s through November 5th to the 9th, and gave sneakerheads another chance at grabbing the pairs for retail. The ones we saw released were the Shadow ones, PSG ones, the red not for sale ones, the Royal Jordan ones which are probably the best to drop, and also the Court Purple ones which are my personal favourite to drop. Sadly, I didn't give this drop the right attention, so I missed my chance of grabbing the Court Purple ones, but I still have hope to grab them in the future. Nike also collaborated with Diamond to release a trio of SB Dunks, and with this silhouette getting attention again for the first time in a while, this seemed to be a great sneaker to release. This collaboration saw 3 colorways drop, being a canary yellow, a black and a white, and all the pairs featured a detachable metallic swoosh which had Tiffany blue velcro felt behind it. The yellow pair had released first as a ComplexCon exclusive and was also a friends and family pair, so for that reason the resale prices are upwards of $3,000 for that pair, whilst the black and the white were more of a general release. These 2 colorways are currently reselling for upwards of $150, so you can see the price difference that exclusivity generates. Adidas released another Futurecraft 4D silhouette, this time being the Consortium Onyx Grey, and these had previously been a friends and family pair but managed to hit retailers for $450 or £350. Adidas also released a load of Yeezys in November, as this sneaker series continues its journey of becoming a general release. November saw the Yeezy 350s release in 2 colorways, being the original Hype Zebra and also a Sesame colorway, and this was also accompanied with the Yeezy 500 which dropped in a Salt colorway. Adidas also had another unexpected retro as they dropped the original Ultra Boost in its metal pack, which featured 3 colorways taking inspiration from metal metals. There was a bronze, silver and a gold that released, and just like the Yeezys, these had a lot of hype on their initial release, but as time has gone on, the colorways have slowly become something of the past, so surprisingly these are still available. Visvim came out with another update to their OG Cristo sandal, and this time gave them a camo redesign, and Prada also used some green on their Cloudburst silhouette. For Prada, it was the slime green or neon green that covered the knitted upper as opposed to the camo green. Dior also came out with a sneaker in November as mentioned earlier on in this video, and this was the oblique high top, which took inspiration from the Converse high top all-star silhouette. This was designed by Kim Jones and is only the beginning of his footwear over at Dior. ASAP Rocky's SR Low had a restock that was available nationwide over in America, and these dropped on the Under Armour website. It's safe to say that these did bring the resale prices down, so the colorways did become more accessible. Another artist that dropped was Sheck West, who collaborated with Nike in bringing out two silhouettes. This was on the Blazer and Air Max 95, and Sheck gave them his own special touch by threading them with contrasting laces. Normally, I'm not the biggest fan of contrasting sneakers, but in this case, the colors work very well, especially on the 95s for me. Nike also dropped a few more Jordan 1s, starting with the not for resale ones in a yellow, which enforced sneakerheads to wear their sneakers as opposed to selling them. This was followed with the Rookie of the Year ones, which took inspiration from Michael Jordan's outfit choice when he won his Rookie of the Year award back in 1985. And the third one was by Los Angeles boutique Union LA, as they had a chance in producing their own iteration of the classic Jordan 1. They ended up producing two rough colorways which featured a mismatch of OG Jordan 1 colors, and by doing this, they ended up garnering a lot of hype for the sneakers, which caused them to sit above $500 for the black toe pair and over $600 in resale for the blue pair. Fear of God released a unique sneaker as they dropped the 101 high top, which was made up of vintage t-shirts. This was another way for the grunge brand to inject vintage prints into its designs, as they have repurposed vintage t-shirts in the past, but this time it was more of an unorthodox approach as they applied them to footwear. Off-White also collaborated with Nike again to produce two colorways in the Zoomfly silhouette, this time being a neon pink and a more standard black and white. And to round up this episode, we finish up on Nike as they reissued a classic cultural sneaker in November, being the Nike Shox. The sportswear brand had previously dropped a colorway a few months back and I didn't mention it, but this colorway was a lot more appealing, so I wanted to make sure I mentioned it at least once. This was the black, metallic silver and red colorway. And that brings me to the end of this video and the end of this episode of what happened in fashion and sneakers for the month of November. As always, hope you guys enjoyed, and of course it was beneficial to you guys. If you guys did enjoy, don't forget to hit that like button, as it always helps and is much appreciated. And if you're new here and you're interested in fashion, then you should also subscribe by clicking down over there, as I have some more videos like this on the way, and it'll just allow you to stay up to date with the uploads. And if you want to follow me on any of my social media, then that's all TikTok solely, just like my YouTube name. But that's all from me today. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.